Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week with a potpourri episode.
Yes.
In fact, I may just call it potpourri to save myself some time and go back to my Jeopardy roots when I used to actually watch Jeopardy a lot.
Yeah. Potpourri or Lagniappe.
Or Lagniappe, something like that.
Yeah.
Because this is actually an episode coming to you in, well, more than 4 parts, but 4 big parts at the end.
Yeah.
Not counting the smaller parts we have before the part. There's parts. There's a lot of parts. So, yeah. A lot of weird stuff coming at you, but if you want to check out more of what we do, you know where to find us. HauntWeekly.com, HauntWeekly on Twitter, HauntWeekly on Facebook, YouTube.com/HauntWeekly is a great way to stay on top of things. Not many people use it. You'll be like the only one there. It's kind of neat. You can also catch us wherever podcasts are distributed and pay special attention to Facebook.com/HauntWeekly. That's where we schedule the occasional live show and we have guests on.
Yeah, probably not until after October.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. I don't want to make any promises until November, but
yeah.
We're working on some stuff. So yeah. All right. So starting off with work we did on our haunt, work is definitely ramping up for us. We don't open, for the record, until the weekend before Halloween.
The 27th.
The 27th, 28th, and 31st this year is our dates. So we still have a lot of time before our opening for us. But work has been ramping up consistently. I've been focusing very heavily on the digital stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, we're going to go over one of the items in one of the parts, actually.
We're
going to be talking about it. It's going to be kind of nice. But we've also been taking new pictures, updating the Facebook, updating the website.
Stuff that we really should
have been done a while back, but
didn't
do. So we're getting caught up on that. We need to get some additional photos. We took photos of the new Bernie mask yesterday. They did not quite work out, not because the mask is bad or the photos are bad, but because we didn't really recreate the look we were going for, the pose and everything. We just kind of winged it, but now we have a better idea of what we need to do. So we've learned from our mistakes. We'll be retaking those probably tomorrow or tonight if we have a bug up our ass. Who knows? Other than that, we're finishing up demolition inside the haunt.
I think demo is done.
Okay.
The main thing is that we've got one big build and one final put in place.
Yeah,
it's moved to the right place. It's kind of in place, but our garage is unlevel, like severely unlevel. So at the front of the garage, there's a 2-inch gap and a wall that is square against the wall. And then there's a 1/4 inch at the back. And
this has always been that way in the time we've owned this building, for the record. This is not like don't worry about it being, oh dear God, it's sinking or anything. No, this is actually old news to us.
Yeah,
we've actually known about this problem since pretty much 2006 or 2007 when we took ownership of the building. Yeah. It's just always been that way, and it's kind of a weird natural thing that happens a lot in New Orleans. Is buildings after they're built have an initial weird settling period.
Yeah.
And this garage, let's just be frank, it was not built to the best of standards. And so I'm not surprised it went underwent that, but it has not moved further, is the point I'm trying to get at.
Yes.
So everything's fine there. Yeah, we've been doing reassembly. Everything's looking good. Everything's come together according to plan. And we're actually doing it smart and building an intelligent order this time around. We're starting from the back and building forward. And so that big build that she just talked about is actually toward the front of the haunt. That may be something we don't really touch
until October.
But that said, we will probably be spending some time this weekend on the yard display.
Yes, because the yard display is going to be a little complicated, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm really, really excited about this, and I'm hoping the temperatures drop just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think it's actually going to be more comfortable to work in the yard than the haunt. Because the haunt is hotter.
I agree with that.
Than the yard. But maybe it'll just be fucking overcast, Maybe we'll get a break from that direct sun. a little bit. I mean, it's New Orleans. It's supposed to be cloudy and damp all the time. It has not been delivering. We've not been getting the promised New Orleans weather lately. It has been hot. It has been dry. We've been under fucking burn bans of all things.
Yeah.
I don't think, I've lived in this town now since 2002. I've lived here over 20 years. I don't think we ever had a burn ban in summer.
No, and not one that lasted more than a day.
Yeah, and the reason is because normally in New Orleans, it rains every fucking day in the summer.
At about 3 p.m.
3 p.m. You used to be able to set your fucking watch by it.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell me climate change ain't real, man. I'm fucking seeing it. All right, moving on. Yeah, so we got a lot going on there. Do stay tuned. Facebook.com/HauntWeekly. We'll likely be posting some of the new Bernie photos.
Yeah.
The new Bernie video. We'll maybe posting the story we'll be doing in a little bit. Mm-hmm. A lot of Bernie stuff will be coming, just so you can see what we're working on as we're sharing it out on our Haunt channel. And also, if you want to follow our Haunt directly, we've never actually pimped it to this audience because it's not really a point, but it's Bernie Baxter Haunt on Facebook. So check it out. All right. Well, every week we ask a question of the week. And last week we asked, what is your favorite character to play? And honestly, y'all, this is a good time to go back to Facebook.com/HauntWeekly and check out the post there. A lot of great images and a lot of fun stuff was shared there. But let's see what the nice people said.
Tim Fowler said, Dr. Diablo.
Love that name. Greg Packard said, the Swamp Cowboy, and I want to applaud Greg for going back and correcting his misspelling, because it originally said the Swamp Cowboy, and that put some interesting visuals in my head.
And now it's out there forever.
It was just so funny, and it was so perfect. But no, the Swamp Cowboy is Greg Packard, and the mask and all, it looks really fucking cool, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you asked me what a Swamp Cowboy would be, I probably would have described something very similar to that.
Yeah. Amanda Hughes said, played a doll for years, was Spider's victim last year and loved it.
And that is one thing I would say, if I'm not saying this was what Amanda was going through, by the way, but if you're finding yourself struggling to get your love for haunting back, maybe consider being a different character.
Yeah.
Maybe consider mixing it up, doing something. If you play a victim a lot, maybe go be the psychopath, maybe do something different, shake it up. It can really help. Sarah Pretty said, Little Doll Crisis at Darkside Acres is, which I'm hoping I said that right. Like, all of it. And the last one?
Dr. Hooded himself.
That is such a cheat, by the way. I'm just going to say, respect. Mad respect. But
Keep it in character.
Keep it in character, but the post from your character's Facebook profile on that question. That's clever. All right, well, this week's question of the week. What last-minute thing has you the most worried?
Everything?
Yeah, I
all
think...
of it?
All of it? Oh, no. For those of you keeping tally of the Repo the Genetic Opera references in this podcast, please up that by 1 at this time, or actually probably 2. I mean, that one might be 2. But no, right now, the thing is, I was thinking about this last night as I was writing these notes. We're actually not further behind than we usually are this time of year.
I know, it just feels like it because it's such a mess still.
Well, here's the problems, and I was thinking about it. One is, we're older now.
Yeah.
We both have health issues. We both aren't moving as fast. That's one. 2 is we haven't done a full build since 2018.
Yeah, that's the thing that's freaking me out.
Is like we haven't had this experience in a while. We've forgotten a lot.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, 2019 road closure, 2020, 2021, take a fucking guess. 2022, we opened 2019's haunt.
Yeah.
We had a built haunt that year, pretty much. We only had to do a few tweaks and changes to be ready. So yeah, this is our first complete build in a long, long time. And it's scary. But we have been further behind than this and pulled it out easily.
Yeah, and I know that it'll work out. Because even if I have to, bust butt and work literally late hours on the weekends before, it'll get done. And we're also, one of the things we didn't mention about haunt work is that I have reached out to a new actor pool, and hopefully we'll be able to get some new actors.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this potential new partnership we have.
Yeah.
Won't talk any details. Not some of it's semi-public, but not super public yet. Mm-hmm. So we're still working on it. But yeah, this partnership could be really great for us. And the other advantage we have is this year, even though we're changing up everything, 90+% of what we're doing is just moving around existing infrastructure we have.
Yeah. And we're kind of going back to our roots with putting in multiple scares per actor.
Yeah.
So that if we don't have this deal come through, then we still can operate a haunt and it still be scary.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. But yeah, I'm like you. It's a little bit worrisome just because we haven't really been here in a while.
Yeah.
Like, we've lost some of our edge. Because it used to be, we would get to this point and be like, now we're going to work till 2 a.m. every night, brother, and we're going to get up and go to work the next day.
Yeah.
And hey, no, we're not going to do that anymore. A, we can't because the heat is still excruciating and
it's
insufferable.
Still too hot. Yeah.
Even at night, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Like, legitimately, it doesn't get below like 75 at night, and it's over.
No, lately it hasn't gotten below 80.
It's just crazy. So anyway, but yeah, that's what's worrying us. So what is the last minute thing that's worrying you? If your haunt has just opened or is opening soon, let us know. HauntWeekly.com, Haunt Week on Twitter, Haunt Week on Facebook, YouTube.com/HauntWeekly, and of course, wherever finer podcasts are sold.
Yes, and before we get into it, I'm just going to send a shout out, congratulations to Niles Scream Park for having the Haunters Against Hate Night with Japes and all the lovely fellows.
All the guest actors extraordinaire.
Yes.
I've been seeing the photos trickle in from
I know.
multiple angles.
So jealous.
I'm super jelly. It looks awesome. Looks like it was an awesome time.
Yeah.
Congratulations all for a successful
weekend.
A combination of forces.
Yes.
The Voltron of haunting. Rah!
Surprised you didn't create a black hole with all the haunty goodness.
Yes.
All
right.
Now getting into it.
Now getting into this week's episode. I know we're 10 minutes, and like I said, parts upon parts.
Yeah.
This is going to be a potpourri episode. We've got a lot of little topics we've been wanting to talk about or we want to talk about now, but none of them really equate to a full episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to spend 10-ish minutes on each one, hopefully, or probably the last one will be the longest. It'll probably get a little additional time. But yeah, so we got a potpourri thing going on. Yeah, and also the other problem is with haunt work going on, we don't have as much time to really craft detailed show notes. Right. So this is a chance to just talk about the little odds and ends and go through it all. So topic 1, is the retail stuff.
Yeah, because used to we would go and we would hit all the stores and we would do one giant episode. But now we've been kind of trickling that out. Yeah.
So this week we visited 3 places. Michael's, Party City, and Big Lots. And Michael's, going to Michael's now is late. But we're in an unusual situation.
Right.
Because the Michael's that's nearest us is next to a nail salon, which is in between a Barnes & Noble on the other side. And basically the nail salon caught fire.
Yeah.
And basically, Michael's had to close for 6 fucking months. It was a long time.
It was a long time. I don't know how long it was.
It was months. It was months. They closed because they had to basically pull all the stock out, clean it, because a huge smoke damage.
A lot of it just got chunked.
Yeah.
But they had not gotten in their Halloween shipment whenever the fire occurred.
Yeah.
So they got that after they were able to receive shipments again and had a full entire stock because they just reopened this week.
Yeah, they literally just reopened this week. I gotta say the prices were fucking nuts on the whole.
Yeah, which is what we expect.
Well, I mean, they're doing the Joanne's gambit of we're going to have these insane prices, $100, was more than $100 for a skeleton.
$125 there.
And then we're going to offer insane-looking discounts that make the prices almost sane.
Yeah.
In some cases, but not all. But yeah, I mean, there was some cute decor and some cute things, and there were some things that, with the discount, there was 40% off everything blanketly when we were there. But there were some things that were, decently priced, but on the whole, it was just expensive and nothing that really caught our eye.
Yeah, there was a couple of wooden cutouts that I really kind of want, but I'm going to wait on those.
But, every idea we had, a good one you had was they had those little wooden paintable coffins.
Yeah.
And they had them fairly cheap, but they can be found much cheaper online or elsewhere, and as the exact same ones.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to do for my brand.
Yarn dyeing brand, Chris's Coffin is what she's been doing for a while.
Yeah.
And she's selling stitch markers.
Yeah.
Which will be coming in tiny little painted coffins.
Yes.
It's going to be cute. I think it's going to be very interesting. Party City. Hey, when the fuck did we get Party City back?
I don't know.
Because it's kind of weird. There was a Party City in this exact location for years. Then they closed and they moved way up to the other end of the road, which basically, like, this is Manhattan Boulevard. It's a big, long, difficult to travel road.
Yeah, it's lots of miles and lots of cars.
You don't want to drive up and down it if you can avoid it. It's the basic problem. Yeah. It's a lot of traffic. And so we basically stopped going to Party City because now it was in a very inconvenient place for us. Mm-hmm. But they were back in their old location, just poof. Like, I have no idea when this happened.
No, sometime in the last month, because we were over there.
That's true. We were. Yeah, we were there.
Because this is actually our second time to Big Lots, which we'll get to next.
Yeah.
But the first time they didn't have the Halloween stuff out yet.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm disappointed in Party City. When I think Party City Halloween, I immediately think of the giant wall of fucking costumes.
Yeah.
Pick item number 362 off the wall and get that for me.
Yeah.
Get me that. That's what I think of. They don't have that.
No.
At least not at this one. I don't know about others, but at ours they did not have it. They just had the costumes on racks, and I grant they had a lot of costumes.
They did, and there were some really interesting and cool ones, especially for kids.
Yeah. The thing about the costumes there was they were all about the same price.
Yeah.
They were all like between $25 and $50, most in the $30 to $50 range. But here's the thing. That meant, there were some like, that's just a sexy cat costume. That's like $5 at Spirit.
Yeah.
And you're selling it for $30. But then there were some
real... Huh? $5 at Walmart, not Spirit.
Well, okay, it's true. But it's like $15 at Spirit. So, yeah. But then they had some really interesting costumes, like a clown with like these artificially long arms, some inflatable costumes that were actually reasonably priced. I could see the justification for that. Yeah. So if you need a costume that is unusual or you have an unusual idea, I say check out Party City. We didn't buy anything.
No.
Their decor and their animatronics looked super cheap and were way overpriced. But, man, some of the costumes actually looked interesting and looked reasonable in price. I can't believe I'm saying that. That sounds wrong, even as it's coming out of my mouth.
Right. Well, and the other thing that I noticed at both of these stores is for some reason hot pink is in for Halloween.
I don't get it either, but it is.
There are hot pink bats and hot pink skeletons, and it's different than the pastel goth that Michaels is doing.
Yeah. But if you're a spooky kid, and if you're listening to this podcast, congrats, you're a spooky kid.
Yeah.
And you like pink, this is your fucking year. Telling
you
straight. Big Lots, some decent decor. We actually picked up a few things.
Yeah, we did.
Because the prices there, I mean, it's Big Lots. The prices, this is where you go for the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to be at least
that
reasonable
and Walmart,
prices.
which we have to do soon because ours does have their stuff out now.
Okay. Yeah, but there was nothing right home about, realistically. I didn't see anything that stood out.
No.
I did note that they had, one of the things we noted was they had a 2-pack of the hanging zombies for $35, was it? $25. Meanwhile, at Michael's, it was $50 for one.
Yeah.
And it was the exact same thing. Now, granted, it was $50 before the 40% off, so it would have been $30 for one.
Yeah.
You do the math. Do the math. All right. That's topic one. I think we got through that pretty quickly, which was kind of the goal with that one. Topic two. Following up on last week's episode.
Yes.
We have some interesting McKamey Manor updates. Reckless Ben has posted a new video to his YouTube channel, which is kind of counter to what the video actually says.
Right, because it's a podcast episode, and they talk about how they can't talk about, They can't upload on YouTube. Right.
Because he has 2 strikes against his account, and he can't upload until October 15th, which becomes pertinent in a minute. But I definitely recommend go watching this video. Because he's worried about losing the entirety of his YouTube account. And the reason is because McKamey Manor supporters are spamming complaints of various community service standards. That's the S word I'm after. Community standards violation, which he does not violate any community standards. Fuck off, guys. You just don't like what he's saying.
Yeah.
That is legitimately attempting to censor him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, censorship has to come from the government, but the point of the matter is you're trying to stifle his speech just because you don't like what he's saying. Not because he's a danger or doing anything wrong.
Right.
But anyways, the major point of discussion and the major updates, both in that video and some stuff he's posted on his Patreon, which once again, please check out last week's episode. We have a link to his Patreon page. I'm going to put that link in these notes too when the time comes. But please do check out his Patreon, support him there, and check out the videos. He has an excellent video in the Patreon, which we're not going to talk too much about. We're going to sort of go over the publicly available details.
Right.
With the woman that got Russ McKamey shut down in California. Mm-hmm. It is a baller interview, and some pretty interesting revelations come from it. Nothing like super new. Mm-hmm. But very interesting, and it's definitely worth the watch. And I gotta say, I've really come to enjoy Reckless Ben's interview style.
Yeah, I have too.
He's very much the casual. Well, but wait a minute, what about He just kind of lets the other person tell the story and stays in the back, which is a good interviewer, honestly.
Yeah, well, and
he knows when to shut up.
Well,
which I don't know when to do.
Obviously.
Sorry, I had to do the joke.
I know. No, I love whenever he's talking to the people who are supporters of MM, and he's talking to them and he's setting them up.
Yeah.
And like everybody else in the car, because he has them on speaker, is laughing. Because it's a
or trying not. They're doing the trying not. They're like holding their mouth shut, trying not to laugh. It's hilarious. If you want a video of watching people try not to laugh.
Yeah. That's your kink. That's what
I got you covered, man. You got some material for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Don't know when to not talk.
It's a masterful conversation.
Yeah, he does the Columbo thing, which is he feigns being dumb, but you can tell he's really quite smart.
Yeah.
He really, really is. But anyways, a lot of the focus has been put on those California years of Russ McKamey. And sort of the whole story that came from both the podcast and the interview is that basically he thinks, and others seem to think, that he was a home haunter who liked being edgy, did sort of an extreme home haunt, but then started live streaming and then began to push that edginess harder and harder until it morphed into something completely different. The plot got lost, and then eventually he got shut down and kicked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, the interview explains how that happened. The details are pretty fucking wild, I got to admit.
They really are.
But eventually he got kicked out of his location. He did the van thing for a while.
Yeah, but not as long as you had thought.
Yeah, I had thought, and this was my understanding, and I think it came from both the Haunters movie and just other stuff I had heard, that was like the thing for a while. But apparently it was just a hot minute. Mm-hmm. Where he was doing it in a van. And then forced to move to Tennessee, and now it's just sad.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's very sad.
It's just sad. Now, Ben has promised a new episode after the strikes are lifted on October 15th. He says it's going to be an hour fucking long.
Yeah.
Basically, it's going to be the 4 episodes he was going to release every week, mashed together into one Voltron episode on this. A lot of Voltron references today.
Yeah, and, because his videos have been taken down and he's been getting these strikes against him, it's one that when it drops, we're probably going to watch it as soon as possible.
Yeah. And I may even... I may bend some copyright rules and see if I can download it. Okay. When it's released, just in case we're not able to catch it immediately.
Right.
That way, I can guarantee we can view it. Because I know that this shit's going on, and it pisses me off that it's going on. I'm hoping that since he was able to post, one or both of the previous strikes was lifted. Mm-hmm. And maybe YouTube's waking the fuck up here. That's what I'm hoping. But I'm not going to take any chances. I have to see this video.
Yeah, well, and I'm surprised that they aren't shutting down MM's YouTube because that has much more violence and stuff in it.
Yeah, and I don't know what community guidelines complaints. I think they're saying it's...
That was one of the things.
I think it's also, though, they're claiming that it's harassment or something like that, which is hilarious that they are harassing by complaining about harassment.
Yeah.
It's just its own bucket of irony. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so... Please note that if you were one of the people, and we were too, actually, and we mentioned it last episode, he's not ignoring the past. He's focused on the present because that makes sense.
That's what he could experience.
And that's what he could experience. But he is getting information on the past. Please subscribe to his Patreon. It's $5 a month. Do it just for 1 month, if nothing else, so you see the videos.
And we've said it enough that we should say we are not sponsored by Reckless Ben or anybody else involved with
We have
us.
not even spoken to Reckless Ben.
No.
We have not even reached out to Reckless Ben. He does not know we exist, or he may know we exist now. I don't know. But
Reckless Ben, if you're listening.
Reach out to us. OnWeekend.com, on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere. Hit us up. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. Hell, we want you on the podcast, man. I'll put out the open call here.
Yeah.
We want to do a live stream in November. We want to wait, or at least after that video drops.
Yeah.
We want to be able to talk about everything.
Yeah, and definitely November because then our Haunter friends can join in live.
Yeah, exactly. We want you on the podcast in November. So please, I'm gonna try. I had planned to try to reach out, but was working on it.
Yeah.
Have not done so yet. So, anyways, but yeah. There is a related announcement here. On Friday, I got an email, and the embargo's been lifted. We can talk about it now. But basically, the Haunted Attraction Association released a press release condemning McKamey Manor. I think they've done this before, but I couldn't find it. I really thought if they hadn't done it, then someone else has. But basically, the press release is entitled, "Industry Experts Say McKamey Manor is not, capital not, in a haunted house." Subtitle is, "Haunted Attraction Industry Rejects Highly Publicized Event." It doesn't really add much. It's just further confirmation that haunters do not consider this a haunted attraction.
Yeah, and we'll be talking more about this on the news episode coming up.
Yeah, this will be in the news episode. And also, I just want to take a moment here to say fuck you to HauntCon for giving Russ McKamey a pass. I mean, HauntCon was not supposed to be that open to the public, okay? I'm sorry.
Oh,
so anyway. Fuck it, just giving him validity. All right. So, moving on to our third topic this week, our backstory.
Yay, something fun.
Yeah, this is fun. I've been looking forward to chatting about this some. One of the things I've done digitally, I've not posted it on Bernie Baxter yet. I think it is in a position where it can be. Yeah. But, yeah, we finished the backstory for Bernie Baxter this year, and I'm actually very happy and proud with it. And since it's not very long, it's literally just 600 words, I'm just going to read it.
Okay. It's story time with Jonathan.
Story time with Jonathan. I think, like I said, it should go pretty goddamn quick, honestly. It should only take a couple of minutes. So if you don't want to hear the backstory, fast forward a few minutes. But anyways, by the mid-1920s, US 90 was nearing completion and was rapidly becoming the most important corridor for travel between the east and west coast of the country. That, combined with the car boom of the Roaring '20s, meant that more vehicles than ever were passing down the road. But where others saw noise and congestion, Marnie Wallace saw an opportunity. By the way, the repo counter goes up by one here. A widow whose husband had died under mysterious circumstances, Marnie took the insurance payout she got and invested it in a new building just off the highway. There, she opened Marnie's Marvels, one of Louisiana's first roadside attractions. The attraction was a minor hit from the outset. She sold tickets to visit her rogues gallery of cryptids and monsters, and she had a small museum filled with weird and bizarre items that she'd collected over the years, and, of course, the exit was through a small but crowded gift shop, filled to the brim with knickknacks and other collectibles for people to take home for a price. However, it was in that gift shop that she hit upon her biggest moneymaker. A random salesperson had brought her a crate of mumia, and I actually looked up the fucking pronunciation of that for this, mumia, a fine powder that was made from ground mummies. Mumia supposedly held magical properties and was used to treat almost any disease you can imagine, with people ingesting or even inhaling the powder to cure themselves of whatever ailed them. Even for the 1920s, people were shocked and horrified by this practice. However, where there was shock and horror, there was curiosity, and because of that, Marnie couldn't keep the product in stock. However, even before Marnie had sold her first jar of Mumia, the product was already on the wane. Tighter enforcement both in Egypt and the United States made it more difficult to get a hold of. By the mid-1930s, even her black market suppliers had dried up. She could no longer keep her bestseller in stock, and the attraction itself was struggling with in the midst of the Great Depression. It was then Marnie made a fateful decision. As a lone customer drunkenly staggered through her museum, she slid up behind him, grabbed him, and killed him. Then, using her knowledge of the mummification process, she did her best to replicate it in the humid Louisiana climate. The outcome was not perfect. She had neither the thousands of years of time nor the dry desert air to help her. But with a combination of practices, she was able to make a product that looked enough like Mumia to fool just about anyone. She was shocked, however, when no one came looking for the traveler. She was even more surprised when her imitation Mumia sold even better than the real thing. From then, it was off to the races. As business picked back up, she had both a steady supply of customers and product walking through the door. Thanks to the struggles of the 1930s and the horrors of World War II in the early 40s, she was able to operate with virtually no one even noticing that her jars were filled with missing people. The Mumia ended up being her undoing. As New Orleans began to build up around her, she drew attention for openly selling what was now a strict contraband product. She was arrested, her supply confiscated, but the murders were not discovered, at least not immediately. By the time Marnie was released from prison, I-10 had opened up and her little shack along US 90 was forgotten. Rumor was she had just packed up her collection and reopened elsewhere. Either way, Marnie's Marvels would never open again. It wasn't until yet another decade, when the developer bought the product and started to demolish her building, that the horrors within were discovered. By then, Marnie was long gone, presumed dead, but otherwise missing. But here at Bernie Baxter, we believe in second chances, so we're giving Marnie 3 more nights in her old building. You can see her as she was, but be warned, she's on the lookout for new product to sell, and you may be just what she needs. Now, I'm actually very happy with the way this one came out. Mm-hmm. The reason is, if you go back through that story, all of the dates historically line up. Everything other than the existence of Marnie Wallace in that is true. Mm-hmm. The existence of Marnie Wallace and, of course, the actual Marnie's Marvels place.
Yeah.
Mumia actually existed.
Yeah.
It was a very fucked up thing people did in the 1910s and 1920s.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if we should, either link to the wiki or put a description of what Mumia is into the story.
Maybe we should do something there.
Just in case, people don't think, oh, this was a real thing.
Yeah,
obviously it's a made up word. It's mummy dust.
Now, some of the dates needed a little finagling because US 90 wasn't actually finished until 1926. And Mumia practice had already died out by then. But hey, bear in mind, King Tut's tomb was opened in 1924. We were still at the peak of the Egypt craze in the United States.
Yeah. Which made a resurgence in our childhood.
Yeah, it did. Partly because of the King Tut tour that came through during our childhood.
Exactly.
I actually went to it in Charlotte. But anyways, all the dates line up. I-10 was completed began work in 1956, and the area near here was done around that time.
56?
Yeah, in the 50s and 60s it was done, yeah. So everything lines up very neatly. The actual history does work out. Now, there was no Marnie Wallace. There was no Marnie's Marvels. Mm-hmm. None of that existed. But, of course, going on the whole roadside attraction that kills people thing, that is a tale that goes as far back as travel.
Yeah.
I mean, that has been literally a thing since before medieval times.
Yeah.
So that's an easy thing to play on.
Yeah. I mean, my grandparents live in a house that is known as the place where travelers would go on their travels through rural Louisiana and stop overnight and never leave.
Yeah, I remember they talked about how they were supposedly killed and put in the basement or something. And that house does not have a basement.
Or buried in the yard.
Or something.
Or, Yeah.
The yard they do have plenty of yard for burying people. I'll give them that. That is feasible.
And it was more woodsy back then.
Yeah, so it's but yeah, no, nobody, I mean, people did die in that house, but they died of natural causes. They weren't murdered.
Yeah, as far as we know.
As far as we know. And they had that property forever. That had been within the family for an eternity. So, but no, everything in this is true other than the actual story of Marnie Wallace and Marnie's Marvels.
Yeah.
All the history is actually fairly accurate, with some finagling of dates, I admit, but it's accurate. So yeah, if you want to really know how fucked up people were a century ago, literally just 100 years ago, don't forget that. Mm-hmm. Don't lose sight of that. There are people who were alive when this was going on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Look up Mumia, Mumia. Have fun. Enjoy that. Enjoy that little dose of fresh hell for you. Mm-hmm. All right. And now we get to topic 4. We have been planning our haunt visits, and so we're just going to spend the last 15, 20-ish minutes talking about the haunts we're planning on going to and what we're excited about or looking forward to. First things first, though, our haunt visits will be limited.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, we feel like we're behind on our haunt work. Whether we are or not is not important.
Right, and all of these dates are going to be subject to change.
In fact, I didn't even put dates in because we don't know what the dates are going to be like.
Well, and the visits may change too based on our
2 of them are pretty locked in, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but
part of the reason is
I have some big personal news that I'm not going to talk about yet, but it may change. It may change October for me. Yeah,
and we can't talk about it yet. Everything seems to be pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
But we can't really talk about it until next week. It'll become clear when we talk about it. Just bear in mind, 408, next episode, tune in. We got more shit to talk about on that front.
Yeah.
And see, this is a great way to make sure they come back, too. Yeah, podcasting.
You're explaining marketing.
We're professional podcasters who've never earned a dime.
I think we have to earn a dime in order to say...
We're anti-professional podcasters.
That's perfect. That sounds like us.
But yeah. And also, we want to save some money and some time, and part of it is because of the aforementioned big news. Yeah. That said, we have planned some visits, and we have a list of haunts we are going to try and get, including 2 haunts coming up this weekend, and I can say safely we're going to them because we booked the fucking time slots on Saturday.
Yeah.
So next week, we'll also be talking about these first 2 haunts, and the first one is...
Mortuary.
Which is kind of always our first haunt.
It is, because it's the one that opens up earliest, usually.
Yep. They open up earliest. And I gotta say, I'm actually really excited to see what's new at the mortuary, because it's a knockdown haunt. So we know they change probably about 90% of what they do every year. It changes from year to year. But that expectation is always tempered by the fact that we know it's going to be shorter.
Yeah, they don't have any room to expand because of the historical building they're in. So
and the fact that the property they're on that's it.
Yeah, it usually takes about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had a walkthrough go longer than 15. It's always been 10 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
When I've timed it. And right now tickets are $30 a pop. That's a big yikes.
Yeah, there have been some years that we have skipped it just because it didn't work out.
Yeah, financially. And I'll say this, I was going through their past attractions, their past years. Mm-hmm. They actually have a pretty good list of their past themes on their website right now. And I'm actually kind of excited about this year's theme. The theme is Blood Wedding. Mm-hmm. And it's set in 1872. Now, the unique selling point of the mortuary has always been the building itself. Mm-hmm. It's a gorgeous old building.
It is.
Literally, other than the flow of people, you could theoretically open a haunted house and do nothing to it. Other than you'd have to find, like I said, carve a path for people to travel. It is an old historic building, and it looks every bit. Every bit. It's great.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they change themes every year. And the years in which they've had a theme that A, gives them the strong potential to work with and create with, mm-hmm. but also B, works with the building itself, they've been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The years where the theme has not landed with us has been because they went against.
Because it made no sense to be in that space.
Yeah, like the 1 year early on, and I think it was, I'd have to look it up. I've actually got it up somewhere. But they did a circus theme.
Mm-hmm.
Cirque de Fear, that just sucked.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing full and damn well that people we know who work in the mortuary are sitting there going, yep, that one sucked.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, they did The Purge, which didn't really land with me. But I kind of give that one a pass for two reasons. One is The Purge was big in New Orleans at the time because that was the year of the TV series that was filmed in the city, including some of it not far from our house.
Right. The actors would take over our bar.
Yeah. And the second reason is that was also the first year they did Scout Island.
Yeah.
So I can kind of forgive them for having their creativity very divided.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, but this year they're doing Blood Wedding.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, it makes sense. It seems to be set around 1872.
I think there's a lot they can do with it. There's a lot of visuals that pop into my head.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually scheduled a wedding during October, and that's why they're doing a wedding theme. Because if so, genius.
Yeah.
Because I know that they rent out the building for other events.
Yeah, it's a year-round attraction space, event and attraction space, but it's not a year-round haunted house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm actually excited about it. I'm actually looking forward to this, curious what they do with it. I've got a lot of things floating in my mind that you can do with that theme. I'm curious to see how they take it.
Yeah.
Also, that same night, we will be hitting up New Orleans Nightmare. Also, I mean, every time you mention it, you're legally obligated to mention it was previously the House of Shock. They have three themes: the Deadlands, Repossessed, and Midnight Mortuary Blood Ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that last one does not sit well with me. Not because of like it's offensive or anything, but because you realize the actual mortuary haunted house is literally like only a few miles away.
Is only a few miles away, and their theme is Blood Wedding. So it's mortuary blood in both titles for the events.
And the thing about it for me is, historically, ever since the New Orleans Nightmare, they've had these themes. I look at them, I remember them, and then I go through the house, and I have no fucking idea how the themes impact the actual haunt.
Right.
It's not that it's a bad haunt. I just don't get the role these themes played in it. Here's the thing. I did look it up. New Orleans Nightmare is owned by 13th Floor. That's Nashville Nightmare, the 13th Floor haunts, all that. Some of their sister haunts have the same theme. I found at least two that also had the Midnight Mortuary Blood Ritual. But it seems like they have like 6 or 7 different themes.
Yeah.
And like each haunt has 2 or 3 of them. I don't know who picked doing Midnight Mortuary Blood Ritual in New Orleans, but that is bad.
It's tacky.
It's tacky. I don't understand the choice.
It's a marketing ploy. I mean, because if you search for mortuary haunted house, are you going to get both now?
I would wonder that, but the way the New Orleans Nightmare site is set up, I doubt anyone's going to get that, because I don't think it's an SEO thing.
Yeah, and I don't think
because it's very buried. Like, I had to hunt to find this.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah, I have no.
I think
that's the only reason I
just
would
think
say.
It seems to me like it was done without really thinking.
It's like, oh yeah, that one looks familiar.
That's cool, and it kind of goes with stuff we have. We'll make it work. They do have a new attraction they're touting. Mm-hmm. And I am very excited about this. And I have a list of questions that is longer than a CVS receipt. Mm-hmm. But the attraction is the Shot in the Dark secret bar that supposedly is inside the attraction. Now, we've heard about other haunts doing this. Mm-hmm. I have so many questions. How do you card people? How do you deal with throughput? How does this hurt your haunt's throughput or help it? I don't know. What's the deal? How does this work?
I bet you get a wristband before you go in. We'll report on whether or not that happens.
Yeah, we're going to actually, this is going to be a big focus next week, I'm sure, is this exact thing. Because we're going to find a fucker. We are going to do everything in our power to find it. Supposedly it's a secret bar, but I doubt it's super secret. I don't think it's going to be that difficult.
Well, next week is also a news week.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So So
it might be 409. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You keep saying next week, but I don't think you're looking at the numbers.
You're right. I'm not. You're 100% right. I'm not. Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. All right. So 409, we'll talk about what happened, and maybe we'll do a brief thing before the news, because news episodes tend to be a little bit short. So it's gonna be fun. I have lots of questions going in. We'll hopefully have answers by this time next week. They're also promoting a non-secret bar 13. They've had a bar there, but it's realistically just like a merch booth type thing where you walk up and you get a drink and you roam around outdoors. They are now showing it like it's an indoor enclosed bar.
Interesting.
So I'm interested in that too, and I'm glad that'll be our second attraction.
Yeah.
Because all we have to do is figure out how we're getting home. And if we do get a little carried away, there's Uber and Lyft and so forth. We'll
I'm not leaving my car over there.
Yeah, that's true. We'll find a way to get home safely, basically.
Yeah.
Next haunt we'll be going to, and this will not be that night. This is another night. Because basically this is where things get up in the air. We don't have exact dates. And what I've done is I've put the haunts roughly in order that I'm prioritizing them. Like though these first few are all about the same, realistically. But 13th Gate. Definitely going to it. It's always a great haunt. We haven't missed a year since we've been in the area. Eager to see what's new. We have not heard anything one way or the other about what's new, and I like it that way.
Yeah, that's why I don't go and look on the sites. I let you buy the tickets because I don't want to know. I want to be surprised.
13th Gate, it doesn't fucking matter. They don't mention anything new.
Yeah.
So you can feel free to roam the 13th Gate's website and social media to your heart's content, sweetie.
Yeah, well, I did see the one, photo with all the clowns, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, including 7 actual Pennywises.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, I don't really know what's new there. I have nothing to comment about what I'm excited about, because they're advertising a new selfie museum. I have no idea what the fuck that even is. We'll report on that too after we see.
It's a photo op booth.
Okay, but then why is it a museum? I guess do they have multiple photo ops in one place?
Probably.
I mean, yeah, that's my best guess as to what it is, but I've never heard the term selfie museum in my life, and so I'm
thinking it's going to be like the photo op areas on Fright Trail in Lafayette, where you go into different little shacks.
That'd be kind of cool. I can see that. But so yeah, 13th Gate, very excited to go. Always eager to see what's new. We haven't heard shit about it, and that's the way we like it. So please, anybody at 13th Gate, don't change that. Rise Haunted House. Obviously eager to go there and see their 3 attractions, but as with 13th Gate, I have no idea what they're promoting, what's new. No idea at all.
No.
Though, as I look forward to it, I am most excited, as I usually am, for the Asylum.
Yeah, it was a little disconcerting last year when we went, honestly.
Okay.
Because COVID.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first, touch haunt after COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Even though it's a super light touch haunt, realistically.
Yeah, but it's like, this breath is really close to me.
Yeah. I'm eager to see how... Because the Asylum is... They have the big house, as they call it, the Asylum, and the Hayride.
Yeah.
Of the 3, the Asylum is the biggest source of evolution. They're always evolving. That's where they put their peak actors, where they put the actors that they think are best for that. And basically, that is where you see the quickest and steadiest evolution. Even if they don't change much in the haunt physically, the actors can change the routines and the scenes a lot.
That's an actor-driven haunt.
It's very much actor-driven, and it's always got great actors in it, so I'm always excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what's new. I have no idea what I'm looking forward to. I do know that there is some big plans for Rise. I haven't asked how those plans are coming along. At least there were, like, this time last year we were talking about them. So I'm thinking this might wind up being something of a bridge year, where they're kind of working on all these long-term projects, and not a lot's different. But you know what? The Asylum in particular, that doesn't really matter.
No.
Because the actors can just change so much by themselves. It's great. So I'm really hoping that that's what happens. Then after that,
we'll be trying to get down to Decomposed Haunted House.
In Houma, Louisiana.
And this is run by our friend John, the second year in operation. The first year, the actors were incredible.
Yeah, considering that, according to John, like, most of them had never even been in a haunted house before.
Yeah. He did a great job training them and making sure that they were on their lines and on target.
And a lot of that was his dedication. He would slip in with groups multiple times over the course of the night and go with people. And you know what? Good on him. He made it so he could stand and correct and help and guide people. It was pretty brilliant stuff. I can't, because here's the thing. First year, no haunt is 100%.
No.
I have never been to a haunt on year one that I would say was 100%. The most I would say is that they were at like 75% of what they could be. And you know what? When I say a haunt that's at 75% of what it could be, I think I might be talking about Decomposed.
Yeah.
Because they were good between the actors and the haunt design. Because John, one of the reasons we're such good friends with him is because we agree on the principles of how you design a room in a haunt.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page in that.
Yeah, and give actors multiple pop-outs, multiple scare options.
Yeah, build opportunities into the haunt. Don't just build a room, make it scary, and tell the actor, figure it out. That's not what he does. It's not what we do. And honestly, it works. He had some great actors that did amazing stuff. But yeah, once again, I'm curious to see now that he's had another year, what's different, what's new, if it's bigger, what the actors are doing. I'm excited about this one. This has the potential to be off to the races. If that was first year, then yeah, I'm excited about year two.
Yeah.
All right, next item up for bid for us, and this is out toward Lafayette and New Iberia, is a new haunt to us. Frightmare on Main Street.
Yeah.
We had never heard of this one before.
No.
And in fact, it's kind of funny how we heard about it, because I found a list of haunted attractions in Louisiana that did not list the 13th Gate, did not list Mortuary, did not list New Orleans Nightmare, did not list anything else, but managed to get this one.
Yeah. Which is, pretty surprising. And apparently it's in the old hot sauce house.
And that they're quote, not ours.
Yeah. Which I'm interested because, I grew up with a dad who loves hot sauce. He's a hothead, so it sounds like it's going to be close to a roadside attraction haunt, which unfortunately is also what we're doing.
Well, but this appears to be, from the descriptions online, it's an indoor-outdoor haunt. They encourage you to wear good footwear and all that, and we always do when we go to haunts. I'm not worried about that at all. As limited dates, I think they're only open 8 nights. And I honestly don't really know full on if this is a home haunt or a pro haunt. They have, their site is done by Sinister Visions, which I can tell you without even scrolling down to the footer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a lovely haunt. Believe me, the design's great, but yeah, a Sinister Vision site when you see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very curious about this one, and the more I read about it, the more excited I am to go. And while we're up that way, we may be heading to
Fright Trail,
which is in Lafayette, which is basically like 30 minutes away from this haunt. They're very close together.
Yeah, we had a good time last time we went. It's a very long trail haunt through the woods.
Yeah, we've not been to Fright Trail every year.
No.
We went there one year, and then we went the year we did the Houston trip.
Yeah.
And now this will be our return after that. And when we first went to Fright Trail, we had a great time. But the issue they had that first year for us was that their trail was so wide and straight that the people we were trying to stay in our group with were just running.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous because it's still woods.
Right. And, they solved that, but we unfortunately were there at the same time as they were sending the photo guy through to get their promo shots and things of people running scared. And so the entire time we were either right next to or just passed by this bright light with the equipment.
Yeah. So I'm hoping this year that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
What are the odds, really?
I don't know.
Then again, let's not test us. We found some ways to generate some really bad luck.
Yeah.
You should see how we play in Deep Rock Galactic. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm curious how they further improve the trail. Because they made a lot of improvements to the spaces between the buildings.
They had.
I'm really hoping they do more with that, because some of the stuff they put in those spaces was really interesting, and that seemed like a natural place to do more.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious. And finally, if we can make it, this one is honestly the least likely, but I would like to go if we can, and that is to check out Dark Woods in Natchitoches, Louisiana. We've been there twice before. We've been
once.
We've only been there once.
We've only been there once for the haunt, and then once for non-haunt related.
Yeah, you
things.
went once for non-haunt things.
Yeah,
I didn't. I was not on that trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, the haunt. I remember liking both the trail and the clown house they had that year.
Yeah.
They needed to do some work on their front of house stuff.
Yeah.
They did not, but that was their first year haunting, if I remember correctly.
Well, it wasn't their first year, but it was...
They were still fairly new.
Yeah, they were still figuring stuff out.
They were figuring out a lot of the more pragmatic stuff, like how to keep people entertained in line, how to give actors break without shutting down everything.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that there are no people high up in cages that need to get out in a hurry.
Or that one girl that was in the cage on the ground with no obvious way out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they took on board some of the safety ideas we mentioned to them previously, and we talked to them directly about it. In addition to mentioning it on both reviews and the podcast. Mm-hmm. Honestly, they've established to me they can build a good haunt. It's a matter of having nailed down those fundamentals. Mm-hmm. And I think that enough time has passed. I definitely think it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything right now. That's all we're going. I don't think we're doing a trip further afield this year because of, and we'll talk about that next week. Mm-hmm. Insert blank here, blank news here. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to a lot of these haunts. I've been trying to pick up tickets since a lot of these tickets are on sale.
Yeah.
But on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for the past hour. I know it's a weird episode full of just random shit. Hopefully you found it interesting and engaging. If you want to check out more of what we do, we're hauntweekly.com, hauntweekly on Twitter, hauntweekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/hauntweekly is the YouTube channel. Check us out there wherever you get your podcast from. We got 406 more episodes. We got N-1 episodes for you. So definitely you can find one that fits your fancy. But until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week, since as someone just pointed out to me is a number divisible by 4. That means it is time to do
the news.
We will see you all then. Take care.